Jonathan Stewart gets in, fights for more yardage. Stewart to the mouth of the goal line. Touchdown!
Wow, that's just pure Stewart right there.
That's a big-time run by Jonathan Stewart.
Welcome to Bleav in Carolina Panthers here on Bleav Podcast Networks. Do you believe? Rate and subscribe the show on all major podcast platforms and subscribe to our social media channels on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Video available weekly at youtube.com/@Tobacco Road Sports Radio.
Do you believe?
Jonathan Stewart gets in.
And welcome into a brand new edition of Bleav in Carolina Panthers here on the Bleav Podcast Network. Desmond Johnson here with you, along with Sports Illustrated Panthers beat writer Schuyler Callihan. We don't know where Jonathan Stewart is at the moment. He should pop in. He should pop in shortly. We are going to have a huge show today after the Panthers fall to the Cincinnati Bengals 34-24 at Bank of America Stadium, dropping their record to 1-3 on the season. However, I don't know about you, Schuyler, but that was the first time in a long time I left a Panther game after a loss and was like, I'm okay with it.
Okay. I mean, honestly, I was standing in line for the elevator to get out of the press conference, and it's like, am I crazy, or is this not like a bad game? Like, usually you leave those games and you're like, oh my gosh, you got 12 or 13 more of these, and you're like, there really wasn't that bad of a performance. You just kind of fell short on a couple things, but
there was a couple of plays that felt like they left out there, and that kind of was the difference in the game. And we'll talk about that. And
I know we've got some things with some injuries and stuff and some bad juju, especially with our opening little segment there, our intro with putting certain people on there. But
yeah.
Maybe we should tell the folks that Bleav to remove J.C. Horn before that becomes the next thing.
I thought about it because really, since I put him in there, he hadn't been able to be on the field, and he's actually playing really good this year. So I've thought about just changing the thing completely and taking all the players off with Bryce Young not playing, and like every time I stick somebody in there, it gets all messed up.
It'll be me that gets like that.
I'll have to just change the whole thing around. But we got a loaded show today. Again, Stu will be in here shortly. We got to be out. We got a hard out later on, so we had to go ahead and go. Panthers injuries are starting to stack up, like Schuyler mentioned. Today we'll discuss what's the bigger loss for the defense, Derrick Brown or Shaq Thompson, who we found out has a torn Achilles and was playing so great going into this and was really turning into the leader of the defense. He's out for the season again, so we'll talk about that. Some respond, react, some audio from head coach Dave Canales. We'll talk about our feelings on Dave Canales up to this point, 4 games in. We ready to tell them why you're happy or tell them why you're mad based off of how you felt coming out of Sunday. And then around the league, the Chiefs keep winning these one possession games. Like, they're not even like running at full speed yet. The Ravens might be the scariest team in the entire league, even though the record may not suggest it on the surface. But if you watch them play, like they are a different beast altogether when they've got it running downhill. And then why are the Commanders why are they scoring on everybody? Like, we need to talk about this. Like, the Commanders, they don't like the punt at all. It's weird. So Jalen Daniels doing his thing, Heisman Trophy winner. Did not see the Commanders coming out like this on my bingo card when we started the season. And then our keys to victory, the Panthers taking on rookie quarterback Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears Sunday at 1:00 on Fox. We'll get into that as well. If you are watching us online, do us a favor, share on X, Instagram, or Facebook, or here on the YouTube channel for Tobacco Road Sports Radio. Before we get too deep into anything, a quick word from one of our sponsors at Bet Online. We've got a couple today, so just bear with us. Bet Online, the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. From the preseason NFL to college kicking off, Bet Online has every stat, every matchup, and even live odds and spreads when the games are being played. Think you know your stuff? Get in on our winner-take-all $300,000 NFL Survivor pool for the upcoming season. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino, get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our over 150 slot games. Head to the website today and use promo code Bleav to get in on action. Bet Online, the game starts here. And where we'll start is a recap of the 34-24 loss to the Bengals. Like we said at the very beginning, I just wanted a competitive game. And I guess maybe it's because of how we've been beaten down the past couple of seasons where our expectations just don't disappoint us on Sunday. And that's kind of that felt like the temperature for most of the Panther fan base. You were at Bank of America Stadium. How was it in the press box? Like, was that a similar sentiment that they were just kind of maybe not surprised that we were having a competitive game, but just kind of content with the fact that we were going to have a competitive game? Because after a certain point in the fourth quarter, it felt like we were just going to run out of time and like we weren't going to be able to catch up to them.
Yeah, I'd say that's fair. I mean, they're in the middle part where I think Cincinnati got the two score lead. You kind of felt like, all right, is this thing going to get away from them and it's going to be the same old story? But credit to them. I mean, they didn't fold, they didn't bail. They were able to keep on playing competitive football on all three sides of the ball, and were able to find a way to stay in it. So, hats off to them. I will say this though, in the locker room and post game, it's a totally different feeling, like night and day. Before, in some of these losses, like you'd go in there and it would just feel like you're at a funeral. No one's talking. Everyone's just in a somber mood. It's not a very fun, happy place to be. And not that you should be ever in a good mood after you lost a game, but I think that there's a feeling in that locker room of, hey, they know they can compete and they can do some things this year. And that was kind of the feeling in the locker room on Sunday. It wasn't a doomsday type of feeling. It was, yeah, we lost. It sucks, but there's something here.
And that's the vibe I got too from hearing some of the post-game comments from some of the players, that they feel like they're actually noticing progression amongst the team. And it's not a coincidence that all this kind of began when they inserted Andy Dalton in as the starting quarterback. I don't know, they do have a different vibe to them, even with Shaq getting hurt. The defense is just, Josie Jewell got banged up. Like, the defense is just decimated right now. As soon as I saw Shaq get hurt, I heard your voice in my head from really the past 2 years in the preseason, where you've harped on the fact that this team lacks depth. Like, there's really not a lot behind the starters in terms of guys that you would have starting someplace else. It's a lot of practice squad guys, to be honest, that are kind of behind these starters. And now, especially on defense, it's starting to show where Cincinnati just played a longer game, it felt like, than we did. Like, we just couldn't get off the field on defense. And I can't be that mad at them, because I saw the injuries that were happening, and the Bengals just ran the ball in the second half. I think they ran it for like 140 yards or something like that in the second half, and just kept the ball out of the hands of our offense.
There were some moments in the opening drive where they were starting to run the ball really well. Chase Brown did a really good job. I think they had 11 rushing yards in the first half. So
yeah,
they had more points than they did rushing yards, but they turned it on for sure in the second half. And I think really the time it mattered most was when it was getting late in the game and Carolina still had a chance. But when Shaq went out and Josie went out, I mean, I think Cincinnati just kind of told themselves, like, we're just going to run this thing. There's no rhyme or reason to try and throw the football when their two starting linebackers are out. And I think that's when they really hurt Carolina the most with the run game, because Josie and Shaq were out. And when you have those two guys out of the game, it's going to be hard to stop the run, especially when you don't have Derrick Brown.
So they add in the fact that Derrick Brown's not in the middle. Shot total was out too. So it's like, you just everything up the middle of the defense was missing. And it took the Bengals about a half and some change to kind of figure it out, and they really kind of did. Bringing in fashionably late Jonathan Stewart in the house for Bleav in Panthers. If you guys are watching us on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or YouTube or wherever it may be, hit that pound that like button, share that video out for us. It is open mailbag like it is every week at Bleav in Carolina Panthers. Stu, we were just talking about, we just really just got into it in terms of our initial thoughts. Panthers losing to the Bengals 34-24 at Bank of America Stadium. What was your thoughts? Because like I mentioned to Schuyler, honestly, at the end of the game, I felt like I'm okay. I'm all right with this. Like, they had a competitive game. I felt like they were fighting. They kept pounding. They were trying to win a football game, and it was a competitive game. The only thing, actually, I'll save my telemarketing, Matt, because that's kind of nothing to do with football, but it cut into the game up here. I don't know if it affected you guys where you are, but what were your thoughts watching this game? Panthers fall to 1-3, but feels like a whole different team.
Yeah, I think everyone can agree that this is just a totally different vibe. It first time in a while where, we're losing a game, but fourth quarter, feeling like we have a chance to come back or make it, a winnable game in the fourth quarter. So it's, what's unfortunate is the injuries. I know, Schuyler, you were talking about, losing Shaq and Josie, there at the, the linebacker position. But what that does do, it presents an opportunity for these young guys. We have drafted who's our middle linebacker that we drafted?
Trevor Lawrence. And he got in because of the injuries.
Trevor, yes.
He played,
yeah. So this is a chance for him to become, probably earlier than what, we would want. But, they drafted him to basically be the next guy. And so with unfortunate circumstances, Shaq goes down. You got your 2 veteran guys out. This is just, a guy that has to grow up quick. And, but yeah, like you were saying, towards the end of the game there, the injuries that had a very key, position on the field, stopping the run, trying to do anything, cover on the whim in a pivotal moment in a game. I think Bengals definitely capitalized on that. I think offensively, I feel pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there were some drops.
Yeah.
There were some drops, but, at least those drops were, wide open guys. You know what I'm saying? So
that's new.
Yeah. And I think, for every position, you're going to have off games. You're going to have off weeks. And, I credit, a lot of those drops to just being that. And for the young guys, Mingo and XL, you can see, for Xavier, conditioning, right? Just being exhausted, overexertion. Those are things that he's going to learn as time goes, as far as like, how do I preserve my energy running routes? There's a lot of guys that know how to run their routes crafty enough to where they're 70% running on certain routes, just to preserve themselves. But I love it though. XL is one speed right now, and it's go. And I can deal with that. I think maybe, there can be something done as far as, getting guys some rest, getting them, on some play count, and just monitoring that, especially you got a couple receivers now that can go in there, create separation. Not it doesn't have to be the same 3 guys on, crucial drives. Make sure you're implementing, some guys to just, get in and out. Guys got, deep posts, deep go routes. Guys get tired from running those. Especially
it's a long run.
So,
I mean, you made a good point about the about playing hard every play, because like you can still go hard and give 70-80% on plays you're not necessarily going to get the ball. But and I think that's the thing too with rookies, like they just want to go hard every single play, and that's an adjustment. But at least I mean, that is a good thing for him, because you'd rather have that situation than it be the other way around, where you're telling him, "Hey, let's go, like pick it up a little bit."
Yeah, pick it up.
So that is a much better situation.
We can teach him how to tone it down.
Slow down. Yeah.
So because I remember when I played, a lot of what I had to learn playing football was learn to go down, right? Learn when to give up on the play. And I was a guy that, ran with a little bit of a Tasmanian devil on my shoulder, right? And a lot of times it's, when you're doing that, you're exposing the ball, you're wearing yourself out, and you can get hurt. You know what I'm saying? Like those last inches that I would claw for weren't necessarily worth it all the time. Because you just gotta, give up. You're not giving up, but you're just, laying it down so that way you can be ready for the next down.
Who do you guys think? And I put it in one of the bullet points for today's show, but who do you think is the bigger loss on defense overall for the year, Derrick Brown or Shaq Thompson? Because they both bring different things to the table, and now we're going to be without both, and it's like
I think you answered it. They bring different things to the table, right? And I don't think you ever want to categorize or prioritize what was a bigger loss, especially when you're talking about 2 caliber guys, high class, good guys, leaders on the team. They're both leaders, and to their right at their position, they're both big losses.
Yeah.
And you can
And they've
say
both
equally.
been on the team longer than a lot of the people on the defense. They're kind
Yeah.
of the stalwarts of this defensive roster. So
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, you talk about a guy that, you have all the coaching regimes that have come by the last 5 years or so. Shaq has been a voice in that locker room. He's been a voice of reason, voice of trust, right? This is a guy that, you have a head coach, you have a position coach. They chime in with a guy like that and say, hey, what is this guy like? What is that guy like? How do we get this team to move this way? What should we be doing differently? This is, the Panthers leader especially on defense, on the defensive side of things. You already lost Derrick Brown. But the good thing is you have Ashawn Robinson still, right? So that's a guy, that's a veteran guy. And just because these guys are hurt, they're going to still be in those meeting rooms. They're going to still be in the locker room. And it's an opportunity for these young guys to step up, lean in to the wisdom that these veteran guys have, even if they're not playing. I'm going to those guys every day and basically amping up my preparation.
I just came across the graphic of the 2024 team captains for the Panthers.
Everyone's out.
Everyone's out. It's Shaq Thompson, Derrick Brown, Bryce Young, and Sam Franklin Jr. And none of them are playing at the moment. And
is Sam Franklin on his way back?
I think that's going to be a little while, but I have to go back and look. I think they said that was going to be a while.
Is basically, Panther fans, just hold on for the ride, because we don't know what's going to happen for the remainder of the season. But I do think, just from watching head coach Dave Canales, that he has put his stamp on this team in the past 10, 12 days or so, where it went from I don't know if this is going to work out, I don't know, to it feels like the team is galvanized behind him now, and win or lose, they're in this together. I didn't feel like, even when Shaq went out, that there was a dip necessarily in the defensive, like what they were doing or what they were trying to do. I feel like Cincinnati just kind of took the game by its throat and just kind of went out and won it. And they were, let's be fair, a more desperate team. Cincinnati was basically picked to be one of the top contenders in the AFC. They came in here 0-3, all these different little clouds and storylines around them. They knew it when they came in. They kind of played that way. I think we were more interested in seeing how we were going to look after the Raiders game. Could they continue on from what we saw on Sunday, especially offensively? And they did, for the most part. The Bengals went down and scored. We could have scored first going in, and kudos to Canales for trying to go for it on the goal line like that. To me, that says a lot to your team, that you believe in your team to do that kind of thing. Shout out to the Bengals. They made a good defensive play. Sometimes it just happens that way. Sometimes it's not necessarily what we did wrong. It's just the other team just did their job better, So I left that game kind of feeling not okay we lost, but better than other days where we've lost. And I'm like, I feel helpless as a fan. I don't know what we're supposed to do to fix this. I didn't feel that way after Sunday. I was like, okay, I kind of want to watch them play again. And I haven't felt that way in a long time when it comes to the Panthers.
For a half there, I felt like we controlled the game and scored.
Yeah, and that's weird. That's weird for us. We haven't done that in a while.
I think there was really 2 plays that probably changed the whole game. And you could say that every week, but not getting the touchdown on, what was it, 4th and goal from the 1 on the opening drive. 9 times out of 10, they're going to get that. And that just happened to be the one time they did. And that really hurt. And then I think Cincinnati, I think they ended up punting. They may have got a couple first downs on that drive following that, but still not getting that 7 points really hurt. And then also at the end of the half, not wrapping up Jamar Chase in midfield and just slinging him around and just almost ringing around the rosy to go to the outside.
It was like throwing a frisbee.
Yeah.
It was like, dang, it's gonna land right there. Nope.
No, it was the first. I was mad at the first guy. Was it Xavier Woods?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's this? The shoulder thing. It's not a video game. They're not gonna fall down off of that. Especially
we tell our guys in middle school, you have to bring your feet. If you're not bringing your feet, and basically bring it. You got to be where your feet are, right? if you're going to try to make this tackle, your feet need to be where his feet are. But also, too, you got to make sure that you are tackling with your shoulders, but wrap up. Because he hit him right there in the hip.
Yep.
Hit him right there in the hip. And
arms never came.
No, and it's one of those things like where it's a bang, bang play. And, people look at it and like, oh, why didn't you just wrap up? It has to be kind of it has to be a little bit predetermined. I mean, those things kind of, that bang, bang, he caught it, and then it was like, boom, right? So I'm not going to sit up there and say, oh, it was a pretty tough situation, because these guys get paid to make those plays, right? So, obviously he's looking at film and saying, dang, just wrap up, right? Because even if you wrap up and he breaks the tackle, you're slowing him down.
You can get other guys to come help gang tackle.
Other guys will be there. 40 came there. Again, being lower, the lower man usually wins, having leverage, and being able to, move your body into position to make a tackle in the open space. It's tough, but these guys get paid to do it. And that was a huge play, missed opportunity right there for sure.
And that those two instances, really, if those things go a different way, we're talking probably about a different game altogether. I mean, we lost by 10.
But I will say,
and it was at the end of it. So
I will say Xavier Woods came clutch with an interception, though. He made up for it.
Right. I like the fact when the past couple of weeks, whenever a player has done something on defense, maybe that could be considered a mistake, they come right back and do something. Because last week it was J.C. Horn. He got beat on that touchdown early, and then he comes back with that interception. So so I mean,
and kudos to J.C. Horn too, man. He played pretty good. He played a really good game.
He's been covering the top wide receivers, because people haven't even talked about the fact he kind of shut Devontae Adams down last week, and then he was on Chase this week for most of the game, or T. Higgins. They kind of had him all over the place, but I wasn't gonna do it, but I got to, because it did make me super frustrated during the game. It had nothing to do with what the Panthers did at all. So my
I'm gonna tell you why we messed up.
I don't know if they probably didn't even have it down in your viewing area, but in the third quarter, I think it was, stuff just got interesting in the game. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm invested. I'm in this game. Panthers are trying to win. They're coming back. Looks like we're going to do something here. I think we had cut it to 7 or something like that. And then out the blue, from the National Weather Service, we get this breaking tornado warning for a county that's like 5 counties away from where I am, like up towards towards Danville. Like, there was the National Weather Service up in Virginia basically said that they thought there was a tornado on the ground. So when that happens, I talked to my media friends here. They're like, the TV stations are obligated to break in to tell you what's going on. But while it was going on, the Panthers were driving. So like, it first goes to this dude in the radar screen, and I start screaming. I'm like, what are you doing? I don't even live there. What's going on? And then you can hear the dude trying to play with the radar, and he's clicking his mouse and like trying to zoom in and out, like trying to find the tornado. Meanwhile, the Panthers are trying to drive up the field, and they put them on this little this little window like this on my screen, and I am losing it. Like, I'm just like, what is going on? And then you can hear the click, 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 the little wheel on his mouse as he's trying to scroll in and out, trying to find it, and he can't find it. And somebody's in his ear, and you can hear him. They're like, oh, it's over there. It's over there. And like, so he's just looking around, like literally there's like spaces of silence while the thing is up. And he's just looking for this tornado. And he can't find it. And it's up for about a good 10 minutes, 12 minutes. But like, I missed they put closed captioning on the Panther little window. But again, it's like this, so you can't really read it. So you just kind of see what's going on in the game. And by the time they came back,
a split screen, half of it out.
It was like, it got to the point where the meteorologist, he didn't seem to understand why he was still on the screen either. Like, he couldn't figure out, like, can I go? Like, what are we doing here? They finally let him go and they get back to the game. And by then, I think the Bengals had the ball back. I forgot what happened with us, but I think it was during a stretch where I missed the Shaq injury. I think it was somewhere in there while they were up on the screen. But that's really the only thing I had something about this weekend was that I don't even know if they confirmed there was a tornado on the ground. I think it was up in Rockingham County or something like that. But that was the only issue I had from Sunday's game. Before we do, because it's going to be a bit of a shorter episode this week, I was going to ask you, Stu, did you get in the mail this Cherry Bundy?
Oh,
drink?
yeah.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
Did they send you a lot? Because they sent me a lot.
Yeah, they sent me
I
2
pissed somebody
boxes.
off.
Yeah.
I pissed somebody off. I didn't get any.
Schuyler didn't get any. Okay, so we have a new sponsor.
Must be late.
Yeah, might be on your porch right now. It's basically it's used by the Carolina Panthers. It's used by pretty much every NFL team. 10 of the last 11 Super Bowl champions. Every team playing in Europe or Brazil this season has had Cherry Bundy with them. It's tart cherry juice. It's so
good.
It's natural. So I was going to ask you, do you use this? Because I haven't opened up a bottle yet, and it's
I used to drink them when I played, and I still have them. Like I already had some in the refrigerator.
And look, apparently they work because I went on Amazon because I was like, what is this? And then I went on Amazon to look at reviews, and everybody was like, it tastes great. Tastes great. So
they have ones that are also sleep oriented. So like they help you at night, get a nice little recovery.
That's exactly the reduced soreness, increased recovery. They contain naturally occurring melatonin to help you improve sleep, and they help support immunity. They're one of our new sponsors here. You can find it at Amazon, cherrybundy.com, and at retailers nationwide like Publix or Kroger. 66 out of the 67 Power 4 conference football teams use this. Every NCAA football and basketball national champion since 2007 drinks this stuff. Cherry Bundy, go to cherrybundy.com. New sponsor for us here. Already, so that's how many ads is that? So two? I've already done 2 so far. So let's see. And then Melon, my Melon hat came. That'll be the end of the episode. So a clip what we did last week, and I'll just run.
Shout out to Cherry Bundy. You want recovery? You come here and you drink this at night.
So I'll send you some because they sent me a whole box of this, and then they sent me this other like concentrate, like syrup stuff, I guess, that you can just drink straight from the pouch or whatever. But they sent a lot of it, so we'll see. We'll see. But I was going to ask you if you use it because it seems like athletes use it a lot. So definitely go check out cherrybundy.com. Real quick before we get into keys, because we're a little short today. Around the league, I wanted to. It feels like every time I watch a Panthers game this season, either before it or after it, I've been able to watch the Chiefs. Like they've just been on. So I feel like I've watched every Chiefs game this year, and they keep winning these one possession games. Like they're not even clicking at all cylinders, and
it's good. They just barely getting by.
Like what happens
once they really start clicking, it's about to be a wrap again.
I feel bad for Rashid Rice though. I think he tore his ACL, and it was actually from Mahomes actually running into him trying to tackle after an interception. Like when you see the replay, it's literally Mahomes trying to make a tackle and he just misses and just runs straight to the dude's legs. And
he's pretty sure he's gonna be out.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be out for the year. You know, the crazy thing too, I heard right after they kind of confirmed his injury, all of a sudden I started hearing national pundits talking about how the Panthers should trade Deontay Johnson or Adam Thielen to the Chiefs to help them with the wide receiver woes. And I'm just kind of like, I thought our wide receiver core was the worst wide receiver core like in the league, and now all of a sudden they're good enough where the Chiefs would make a trade offer for
Deontay needs to stay here in Carolina until he retires.
If you want to trade Adam Thielen just because he's getting older and you're not going to have him in your long-term plans, sure.
All right.
If you are going to trade Deontay Johnson, what was the point of bringing him in?
Exactly. Like this is supposed to be
listening to these people, man. These people be just bored, man. They be over here thinking, just talking. They be putting stuff in AI.
I think it was Adam.
What spits out?
ChatGPT. What would happen if the Panthers went for Adam?
I'm not trying to go after Shefty because obviously he knows more than pretty much everybody. Sometimes
that's inside of NBA and NFL now.
Yeah. But
yeah,
I don't see why he said Deontay Johnson would not be in Carolina after the season, because I would think most GMs would probably have this conversation with players that they're going to trade for, especially ones that are entering the last year of their deal. Hey, if we trade for you, are you going to be willing to stay here? I'm sure that conversation was already had probably multiple times, especially when they were in the negotiations. I just don't understand why Dan Morgan would make a trade with the risk of having that said player leave the very next offseason. That's not to say that he won't, but you had to have had some assurance that he's going to stay.
Yeah, it's like it's the final year of his contract, but he's also playing for a contract too. Like I get it, he'll get the opportunity to go shop himself in the free market or whatever. I don't think the Panthers would tag him. I don't think. I'm trying to think if there's anybody else that they could in Chuba in his last year or two of his contract.
Yes.
So maybe Chuba actually might deserve
Chuba
it.
Usually
about to
you
get
don't
paid.
see
Chuba doing his thing.
tags. I don't know the data exactly on this, but I don't think you see tags normally on running backs unless they're like the
The
guys
top
that
five,
yeah,
top 5 back in the league.
yeah, like a
'Cause he's
Saquon Barkley.
Is he?
Well, no.
Is it time to have that
hold
question?
on. Now let's have this
Yeah.
conversation.
Yeah, because
Let's have this conversation right now.
Yeah, 104 yards on Sunday.
Chuba,
Oh, for Chuba?
Yeah,
Chuba Hubbard is a top 5 back in the league right now.
let's name. Okay, all right. We've done this before. Audience, help us out. Let's name
Right
5
now,
before we
number
get to
1 is Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry. We're gonna talk about the Ravens in just a second because that
Number 1 is Derrick Henry.
Derrick Henry. I'd put J.K. Dobbins up there.
Saquon Barkley.
Barkley.
Number 2.
Kamara,
number 3.
What's that? Dobbins. Chargers.
Yeah, Dobbins is.
I would put Dobbins up there right now.
Dobbins is 4. And Chuba is right there at number 5.
Who we missing?
Argue with your mama.
over Jonathan Taylor.
Over Jonathan Taylor. Yes.
What about the A-Chain kid in Miami?
And it's because of how it's how he's running the ball. He's running the ball better than the majority of. He's running the ball right now than Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah,
What about Josh
Running the
Jacobs?
ball wise, like finding the holes,
I would take
making
Chuba.
guys miss,
I would take
breaking
Chuba.
tackles. Like he's running the ball really well right now.
I feel
Josh
like we're
Jacobs.
missing Josh Jacobs. I think I'd take Chuba.
So you're taking this approach of the last 5 years. I'm saying
No,
this
just like right
year,
now.
I'm talking right now.
Yeah, I'm just talking
Right.
about these 4 weeks. Yeah.
Right now, Chuba Hubbard top 5 back. Argue with your mama.
Let me see who the rushing leaders are because you might be onto something. Because I'm sitting there trying to rack my brain.
Chuba's 11th in yards right now.
And well, granted, the first 2 weeks we didn't do anything.
Granted the first 2 weeks.
So yeah, that might not help. But I'm looking to see who else. I feel like I'm missing a running back. While I'm doing that, though, we need to talk about the Ravens. I know they're 2-2, but they're 2 losses.
All right, let's go to the PFF grade here. They got the PFF grades out, right?
Jonathan Taylor is 5th in rushing.
If you go to PFF,
Oh.
Chuba is number 7 under the running category.
I'm fine with that.
Overall offense, Chuba's number 5.
The argument can be made. Oh, Jordan Mason, the San Francisco running back.
I definitely think Chuba right now is to this point in the season is definitely top 10. I don't know if he's top 5, but definitely top 10.
All right.
It's a lot of young running backs.
After this week, we'll have this discussion. We'll come back to it.
It's a lot of young. Bijan Robinson in Atlanta, Najee Harris in Pittsburgh.
What we'll do, we'll have a Chuba Hubbard top 5 tracking system.
Yeah.
I think the best way to go about it is really like yards per carry, because some guys are going to run the ball 25 times a game.
Yeah.
Actually,
and
let's see who's
Chuba may only get 14 carries.
Right.
It's kind of skewed because some of it's like wide receiver jet sweeps or whatever, so it's got that sitting in there. But when I was looking at the overall in terms of how much total yards, you know who's in the top 10 right now? The only one that's not a quarterback,
Lamar
Jackson, number 9. He's already got 308 yards rushing. He's averaging 7.5 yards a carry.
He's gonna be MVP again.
I think so. Like, and I was sitting there watching that game, the Buffalo Baltimore game Sunday night, and I'm just sitting there watching Baltimore's offense going down the field, and I'm like, Derrick Henry in that field looks like a grown man, and everybody else in the field looks like little kids playing with him. Like when you see him, they do like the I formation, and like Lamar's under center, and Derrick is like the tailback. He looks a foot taller than like everyone. Like
something that's
dragging people down the field.
Something where someone that big should not be able to move like that.
At running back, like literally, like, this is the wrong sport, bro. You need to be doing like something at lumberjack, something like this is not. Who put you here? Like,
I know it's a completely like out of left field type of sport to think about, but could you imagine Derrick Henry in hockey? Like just him just coming across and checking the crap out of
skating away
Derrick
from him.
Henry played for the Hurricanes. If Derrick Henry played for the Hurricanes, they'd win.
But look, so there are 2 losses, right? They lost literally by a toenail. They lost literally by a toenail opening night to the Chiefs, right? And then they lose on a last-second field goal to the Raiders like 2 weeks later. They beat the
It's
brakes
because they
off
figuring
Dallas.
things. That just goes to show you, like, just because it's the first 3 weeks of the year. right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
guys
Yeah.
got to get things ironed out, especially when you got new additions like Derrick Henry.
I
Like how
their
we want to
son.
use this guy.
Give it to him.
You know, I want to
Get the hell out the way.
I want to give some flowers to somebody because I don't think that this guy gets talked about a lot. But John Harbaugh's a hell of a coach.
He
Yes, he is.
He's been around now. What, going on
Long
15
time.
years plus? Yeah, I think he might be the longest tenured coach in the league at this point. Well, I don't know how long Andy Reid's been in Kansas City, but they got to be right there up with each other. But yeah,
I'm going back to this Chuba Hubbard comment. Top 5. He's got more yards per carry than Alvin Kamara, Jonathan Taylor, Jordan Mason, Josh Jacobs, Aaron Jones, Brian Robinson Jr., James Conner, Jahmyr Gibbs,
Gibbs,
David Montgomery.
Who's he behind?
Yeah, who is
He's
he?
only behind Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, J.K. Dobbins, and Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson, man.
So that's the reason why he's a top 5 running back in the league. So argue with your mama.
I was thinking about this too, watching Baltimore. Why don't more teams try to draft quarterbacks similar to Lamar Jackson in today's NFL? Like, why?
There's none other out there. What are you talking about?
I mean, not like Lamar Jackson, but similar that can, mobile quarterbacks that can move around, more accurate now than say 10 years ago with that type of quarterback.
I'll tell you the only other quarterback that was out there last year, and his name is Jaden Daniels. That boy is money.
Let's talk about the Commanders for a second, because
this man is amazing.
When we did our win-loss thing, we did not look at the Commanders as a threat whatsoever, and they might be the best team in the NFC.
Schuyler, kudos to you. You need to be a GM or a scout because you pointed out Jaden Daniels early last year, and I was like, man, yeah, that might. And I started watching from like, I like this kid. Yeah, he actually might be all right. And then we got closer and closer, start having turn our comments into like what we were seeing as far as like what was going to happen. But Jaden Daniels, that boy's special. And the reason why he's so special is because he's getting the ball out. He's getting the ball out like he is a 10-year vet.
Yep.
He's making decisions like a 10-year vet.
Can I make a bold statement right now?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's probably not even bold, but he's rookie of the year.
Yes, that's not bold. That's common sense.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I can't think of anybody that I would put above him that class. J47, again, it's open mailbag. J47 was saying, there aren't more quarterbacks like that. I'm not saying there's a bunch of Lamar Jacksons running around. I'm saying why do more teams not start looking more for mobile quarterbacks to run their offenses? Because we've seen it work, whether it's Cam Newton, Lamar Jackson, or even Pat Mahomes. Like, it feels like people are still stuck on the pocket passer. And
I tell you why.
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen.
It's all predicated off of decision making. If you got a guy that's super athletic that can do all the things, Josh Fields, right? He can do all those things that you're talking about, but is he making sound decisions? Is he making split decisions that is basically the right decision 80% of the time? And that's why Jaden Daniels is so good right now. I watched 2 weeks ago who they play.
They won. They didn't punt, I don't think, the entire game like 2 weeks ago.
They played
Cincinnati.
I think it was Cincinnati.
They played New York Giants. No, yeah, Cincinnati. Yeah, it was Cincinnati. And it was like 3rd and 3. Right? And it was out of the gun, and he legitimately acted like he was acting. He was acting like he was really gonna throw this ball. The only thing he did was like pick up a 3-yard scamper for a first down. And it was so nonchalant, it was scary. When you have a guy making plays very nonchalant, like hey, I'll just jog over here. But I can throw it too. You better stay back.
It's almost like the game is moving at a different speed.
Very slow.
Yeah, like Matrix Neo. Like, yeah, he can see stuff happening before it happens. And
like when you playing with some like little kids in the backyard, and at a birthday party, and you're like, oh yeah, throw the ball with the kids. That's what he be looking like sometimes. I'm like, what? And it's very similar to Lamar Jackson, all right? It's like not forced. It's just like, it's there right now.
Shout out to the quarterback at Alabama, Jalen Milrose, who had a game this past Saturday against Georgia. And shout out to Georgia. They made it a game in the second half because I had turned it away, thinking Alabama was about to blow them out, and came
that
back.
Receiver from that 17-year-old,
the Alabama kid.
Alabama?
Yeah, he ain't even supposed to be at Alabama. He's supposed to be a high school senior this year. He reclassified. That's probably the best catch and runs.
He reclassified, you said?
Yeah, he's supposed to be in high school right now. He's supposed to be a high school senior.
Yeah, well, he is a classified baller. Reclassified.
Sick. It like a video game. Like he took the sticks and just went
like a glitch. Like, I'm going out of bounds. Wait, stay still in the air, and then come down. Oh, somebody's behind.
I don't know the last time a team has tanked for a receiver or has hoped to be in position for, but he's going to be the next one.
Maybe Marvin Harrison Jr. Maybe Arizona, but Arizona went trying to get him. They just kind of lucked into him, right? So
they didn't even know that they wanted to take him.
Yeah,
hey, I'm gonna say this here. He's going to Arizona when he's getting drafted.
Put him and Harrison together, Kyler Murray. Yeah, that's gonna be
Kyler Murray even be there.
It's just gonna end up
right. I know Schuyler's got a heart out, and this is more of a condensed version today. A little bit later on this week, we'll have Bleav in Panthers Extra. I'll have somebody on my radio show that will be talking Panthers as we get into this game coming up here. But I want to get your prediction real quick, or your key to the game. Panthers Bears. This has been one that's been circled on the calendar for a lot of Panther fans, just based off of our interactions with the Bears the past couple of seasons. Caleb Williams, a result of us giving up that draft pick. He's playing like a rookie. He's not playing like the best rookie quarterback. It feels like their offense is in kind of a rut. We're going up to Chicago. It's a 1:00 kickoff on Fox. Schuyler, you first. What's your key to victory for the Panthers here? Can they come back with a win?
Yeah, I think they can. I think they will. Look at this, Stu. This is 2 straight weeks I've picked the Panthers. You ought to be proud of it.
I'm shocked.
I mean, I'm just saying maybe it's a change of the times, but no, I think the number one thing is make Caleb Williams beat you. I think that's when you go up against a rookie quarterback, that's kind of what you want them to do. Like, you want to take away the run game. And I know it's going to be really hard this week, especially without Shaq and more than likely without Josie. But you need Trevor Wallace to step up. You need those linebackers to fit the gaps. You need them to do everything that they need to do to contain the run game. But if Caleb Williams goes for 300 yards and throws for 3 touchdowns, hats off to him. But that's – now, obviously, the storyline after is not going to be very fun. But I think that's the key, is force him to be the difference maker.
Stu, thoughts on Panthers Bears? I for the first time in a while, I'm with Schuyler. I feel like it's a winnable game for us. I feel like the game was winnable Sunday against the Bengals.
You have the quarterback edge.
We may have the quarterback edge. When was the last time we said that? We may have the quarterback edge going into this game. What are your thoughts on this, Stu? What do you think the Panthers need to do to get out of here with a win?
Run the ball. Got to run the ball. Time of possession, we need that up because our defense is hurt. You don't want to make our defense have to be overstimulated in a game like this, where because I mean, Swift, you saw last week, he had a nice run right up the middle, and it wasn't just like a run that was, you know, it was a touchdown run, right? So it was an explosive play that can give these guys what they need in the run game to be motivated, to be inspired to run the ball as well. We need to make sure we're the better running team and getting the time of possession to where we don't have our defense in situations where they get exposed. Give our linebackers some time to get up to speed with the losses of Shaq and Joey or Josie Jewell. And yeah, just make sure you continue running the ball. You've been doing it really well the last 2 weeks, and I wouldn't let up now. I would just keep leaning on that offensive line and just developing that play action. We've been getting a lot of good looks, you know, deep routes, just got to connect on those opportunities as well. So just run the ball, time of possession, keep the ball, play keep away, and then when the moment arrives for Caleb Williams to have to play catch up, we get after him and get some pressure on him, right? Make it uncomfortable. So we need our defensive ends to really show up and make a statement. DJ Johnson, would like to see him, activate his game and just be a presence, at the line of scrimmage for sure.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And actually, I'm going to go with the same thing I've said the past 2 weeks. The Panthers need to score first. I don't feel like I was telling Schuyler before you came on that I had his voice in my head on Sunday when Shaq got hurt and then Jewell got hurt, where he's told us the past 2 preseasons that depth is the number one issue with this roster in terms of once you get past the starters, there's a drop in terms of talent level. Like a lot of these guys are practice squad guys on other teams. So once you get down to this and you've got a lot of them on the field, it kind of changes what you can do. So to me, especially now, as much as we're banged up on defense, I feel like they have to play ahead. Like if they play ahead, they can do a whole lot more defensively than if they're behind. Like we were pretty much all day. Well, we were all day Sunday, pretty much. We were pretty much behind and having to play catch up the whole time. Whereas against the Raiders, the offense felt more in control of the game because they were in the lead the entire time. So they can run the ball, they could decide to, play with the clock, that kind of thing, move the chains. And they didn't get a chance to really do that as much as they wanted to in this game versus the Bengals. I think they can against the Bears. The Bears, for all intents and purposes, yes, they have more pieces on offense than we do. Some of them used to be here. But we have enough to go win that game, even with Thielen out. I like the wide receiver core we have right now with Johnson and Mingo and Xavier Legette, Sanders, the tight end. Like it's more than enough, like to do what you need to do. With Andy kind of being the choreographer of all this, he's kind of making it work. So if anything, I left the Mailbag game thinking, okay, I like the progression that I'm seeing. I need to see more of it. Actually, it reminds me, I did pull a clip of head coach Dave Canales talking about that before we get out of here. The progression of this team. Someone asked him, what kind of progression are you actually looking for when it comes to the Panther team? And I really liked his comments in terms of what he said he's looking for in this. This is from CarolinaPanthers.com.
But in reality, we have a lot more things to improve on.
For me, it's about that 1 week progression. It's about every day getting better and better at our systems. Again, we're still learning all these things and coming together with the communication and all that, and it's been better week after week. And so my approach is the weekly approach. That the Bengals were our opponent. We saw what they did. We saw the schemes that they had. We had great calls against it, and it comes down to execution, So I thought we took a step in some areas, but it wasn't enough to win. And that's the ultimate goal, is to win the football games. And we didn't get that done.
Can we, before we get out of here, Stu, can we talk about Dave Canales for a second? Because we're at the quarter pole mark of the season. And I think we've had enough to kind of sit here and really judge the job he's done so far with this Panther franchise. You being a former player of this franchise, what have you picked up beat-wise from Canales that has you in his corner or not in his corner? Because I'm more so in his corner now than I was 2 weeks ago with some of the decisions he's made with the roster and how they're going to play and comments like that where accountability matters. He basically, we just didn't do enough to win the game. He didn't make excuses at all. Like it's refreshing to hear a guy up there like that just basically explain what it is and what he's looking for on the field. What's your thoughts on Canales as we round up today?
A spade, man. If I didn't have pain in my ankles, my lower back, my knees, my right shoulder, if I didn't wake up feeling my ribs were stuck,
Oh God.
if I felt like if I took off and just start sprinting, that my hamstrings wouldn't just come off the bone, I'd be knocking on the Carolina Panthers door right now to try to play football again.
He does that
because that's the type of guy that you would want to play for. And especially when you tap into what's being said in the locker room, right? As far as the guys that are there, the veterans that show, the guys that are new there too, right? So from other locker rooms from last year and getting an opportunity to see what this guy's all about and the amount of trust that you feel that these players have. And I think, the hard decision of sitting Bryce speaks volumes to a locker room like that, you know, and then seeing the results of a decision, you know, you have to get behind somebody like that, right? And how he communicates, you know, and how he messages things. There's no sugarcoating really, and I love that. It's, you know, if we played bad, we played bad, and we'll address it, and we're gonna, you know, make some moves here, whatever it is, and some guys got to be better, and we'll work on all that. And I just love that there's no, you know, I just love that he's just always, you know, circling the wagons, you know, and just basically making it about, you know, the guys in the locker room and nothing else. So I think he's doing a fantastic job. You know, offensively, he's ignited that, and that's one of the things that, you know, for the last few seasons we've been struggling in that department, and for him to just come in here and, you know, work his magic or work whatever, you know, his DNA and what he wants to, you know, inject into the culture of Panther football, we're seeing it pay off, and we are seeing, you know, football be fun again.
There it is. Football's fun again. Like, not just for the players, but for the fans too. And it's infectious. Like, it feels like Schuyler was saying in the locker room after the game, the vibe is completely different than it was 2 weeks ago, where it felt like a funeral 2 weeks ago. Whenever you go in there and players were avoiding the media, they didn't want to talk to anybody. Players are sticking around. They want to talk to the media. They want to express that this is a different Panther team. And for some of them, like J.C. Horn, who's only experienced losing seasons in his tenure at Carolina, he was talking to his locker, and he was expressing how it's just a different vibe altogether, and that they're all kind of sticking together, and they kind of understand the work they're putting in is going to pay off in the end. You just didn't hear that verbiage from them before, and that's all Dave Canales. And I think the Panthers have found a head coach finally. Like, it took them enough tries, but
you can trust any process when, you know, you can trust any process when there's progress, right? And so when you're experiencing progress, you're experiencing hope, right? And so when you have hope, the energy is going to be different. So last several years, we haven't had that, you know, that process that was trusted, where guys were progressing, and we saw progress, and we saw, you know, and I would say there's been a lot of individual progress, but as far as, you know, movement and how the team functions, that's where we're starting to see guys come together, starting to see personalities, you know, shine, and, you know, getting the guys that are in the locker room that are locker room guys. That's what it's all about. And I think having a coach that basically enhances that and wants that, and basically invites guys to be themselves, and, you know, that's what we're seeing. I mean, XL, seeing him, you know, do his touchdown celebration, riding what is it called? Dollar bill.
Yeah.
Watching Deontay, you know, strike it up first, right? Deontay, you know, hey, do your dance that you was talking about all week, right? And so, like, stuff like that, guys having fun in the end zone, because that's what it's about. It's about entertainment. So yeah, referees no longer penalize guys for doing celebrations.
I noticed that.
Like, let's make this, you know, let's get this thing rolling, and get guys to be themselves and show their personalities, and just stop being so damn serious.
Yeah. It's work is, no matter what you do for a job, work is always more fun when you're having fun. Like, when you enjoy going to work and actually being there and doing whatever it is you're doing. It's those jobs where, like, you wake up in the morning, like,
yeah. And that's what I love. I love seeing, you know, Andy Dalton, like, oh man, missed opportunity, no pick or whatever it is, but just a missed opportunity, seeing a smile on his face, right?
Yeah.
And when you are a guy on the field and you watch your leader, like, not sweat the small stuff, Like that's a good feeling.
But we do need to address the difference between him doing that and Bryce doing that on his first throw week 1. Like that was a different because they were already apparently kind of not sure the players.
I'm just gonna say like it's a personality thing. I appreciate Andy Dalton's natural presence on the field as being a guy that's, hey, we're out here playing a kid's game for a king's ransom.
Facts.
So hey, that was a missed opportunity. Next play, I got it. Like, let's go. Right. And that's what you're, if you're a veteran guy, if you're a guy that's here and you're not wanting to waste your time, that's what you want to get behind. And it's refreshing to see that out of Andy. And because now you start seeing, when a guy makes a mistake, like Deontay, he had a drop, but then he comes back around, snags a crazy hard, catch out of running. I think it was a slant for a first down. It was like 3rd and 3. Boom, snagged it. Right, contested catch. Just continuing the confidence in those huddles in the locker room on the sideline. That's a huge, I commend Canellas for operating in a way that allow guys to have that for themselves.
And you could see, it's funny too, because football, it is a lot about belief.
Do you believe?
Because everything you just said about Andy Dalton, it's crazy. We talked about the domino effect it could have putting him in there. And then it actually happened where football might be the only sport where there's a position that can affect the entire team, offense and defensively, based on who's playing that position. And it's quarterback. Like, I can't think of another, even like a pitcher of a baseball team. They're not out there every game, like they're every 4th start, every 5th start. Point guard on a basketball team, they might not necessarily be the most important player on that 5 that's out there, but the quarterback of your team is literally the face of your franchise. Like, you're going to go the way the quarterback goes. If the quarterback is the silent type and they're not all rah, whatever, the team's going to kind of reflect that. And he kind of got a little chip on his shoulder. He got a little feistiness to him, and it's rubbed off on the team in terms of them going, oh, okay, we're supposed to be the worst team in the league. Fine, we'll show you what the worst team in the league does every week when we're practicing. We're getting ready to play. It's not going to be a cakewalk. Like, we're going to come in here and play, and it's changed, and that's all the Panther fans really wanted. We just wanted that back, like Panther football, and it does feel like we're on the road to it. Give Dan Morgan another draft or two, a couple free agent cycles, because eventually what will happen, I would imagine, Stu, players around the league are going to see this and want to play for Dave Canales and like want to come here because of what's happening. That kind of happened with Rivera, like towards the end, where it's like vets like Peanut Tillman wanted to come play here because they saw what was being instilled coaching staff wise here. And I feel like Canales is on the road to doing that as well. And you're going to start seeing vets wanting to come and play here again. Whereas just 2 weeks ago, the national media was saying nobody's going to want to play for Carolina. Like, you couldn't pay me. I forgot who it was, Brady Quinn or somebody. Like, you couldn't pay me enough money in the world to go play for Carolina right now. And now it's just changed in 2 weeks because of the insertion of one player. But we'll get out of here. Schuyler had to go. In case y'all don't know, he's also the beat writer for the Charlotte Hornets for Sports Illustrated. And this is day 1 of their training camp down at Duke University in Durham. So he's dealing with that right now, as well as he's the beat writer for West Virginia Athletics too, for West Virginia University. So he had to get out of here. We got to get out of here as well. We both have hard outs. So
I would like to say this right quick, like everything that's happening in Western North Carolina.
Yeah.
Asheville, the mountains, Boone, everywhere right now where it's flooded. Do what you can, stay safe. There's a lot of people that are in need of supplies, water. People have lost loved ones. I think this is going to be something we're going to be talking about for the next several months. This is not something that just, happens and we forget about it. These people, families, population was caught by surprise, as everyone was, and right now they're in need of a lot of support. So I know right now, if you're in Charlotte, supplies can be dropped off through 10 p.m. on Wednesday, October 2nd at Suffolk Punch Brewing, 4400 Sharon Road, Charlotte, North Carolina. Bottles of water, sports drinks, non-perishable items, plastic utensils, pet food, dust masks, work gloves, first aid kits, clothes, diapers, feminine hygienes product, hand sanitizer, toothbrushes, device chargers, can openers, you name it, just anything that you can think of would be helpful. The Independence Fund and the Charlotte South Park Mall will distribute supplies to those impacted by Hurricane Helene's devastation in Western North Carolina. So, yeah man, just go ahead and support the best way possible.
I've had a couple of friends that have sent stuff up there or driven up there or live up there, especially like in Spruce Pine, where like literally the whole town is gone. Like it's just been washed away. I was just up there 2 weeks ago. I had to go up there and call high school football, AC Reynolds, for a football game. And I saw the picture of Interstate 40 where I think it's the eastbound. It's like it fell off or whatever. Yeah. And in my head, I'm like, I just drove over that 2 weeks ago. Like literally, I just drove over that place and like it's gone. Like in my head, I'm trying to picture it just looks like Armageddon out there, and it's hard to picture because it's in the mountains, and you're just like, I can't imagine all this underwater, and it's just a wild scenario. And people are still
just to put in perspective for people, when you have a rush of like creeks, rivers, dams being broken, it's not just water, right? These are, wildlife is being misplaced.
Yeah. Debris is getting pushed miles down.
Getting pushed around, but sand and dirt is stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking. And when these things come into a city, think about that. Think about how houses are going to look when it's all said and done. They're going to be buried in sand and dirt. So, I think that's what people need to realize. But
I will say this too, regardless, before we get out of here, one of my friends that's helping out up there made a great point. They were like, the main thing they need is water. Like, you don't think about how much you need water because they don't have clean water. So it's not just for drinking. Like, they don't have it to brush their teeth. They don't have it to cook with. They don't have it. Like, there's no access to it. So if you can donate water, that's the number one thing. Gas is something else they need too, because they need it to power generators and stuff like that. There's no way to get electricity in some of these remote areas where like you can only get in one way through a bridge or something, and now the bridge is gone, so people are stranded on like the side of a hill, and it's just wild. But yeah, if you can't do anything, if you can't donate money, if you can't do something like that, donate a cart of water, like something to that effect, because that can actually help more than you would actually realize, especially with kids that are up there too. So hopefully that we'll be able to get a lot of that situated and help those folks out that are up in Western North Carolina. We're all thinking about y'all here across the Carolinas. For Schuyler, for Stu, I'm Desmond Johnson. We've been here on the Bleav in Panthers podcast here, brought to you by Bet Online. The video is available over on the Tobacco Road Sports Radio YouTube channel. The audio will be available on the Bleav Podcast Network here shortly later on today. Panthers visiting the Bears, 1:00 p.m. Sunday. It is on Fox. You'll be able to watch that game there. We'll be back next Tuesday with our recap for that and any news we need to give you. Check out a Bleav in Panthers extra episode. Should be out, I think, Thursday of this week. So definitely stick around for that. But for everybody here, keep at it. Bleav. Oh, you know what? We never talked about your hats, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we completely.
This melon hat? Love this hat.
We're an hour and 7 minutes in, but
it's waterproof.
Comfortable fit.
If you're out there on a boat or at a pool or washing dishes and you accidentally drop your hat into the water,
that baby ain't gonna sink.
No, it ain't gonna sink because it floats and it's water repellent. But mostly when you are outside coaching a football game, for your youth football team or high school, middle school football, whatever you're doing right now, you can wear this hat and you can sweat and it won't ruin your hat. You know how you get them hats?
Get those salt lines.
Yeah, you don't get none of that with this hat right here, man. This is high performance, man.
So
shout out to Melon.
Yeah, you can go to Melon, a new sponsor for Bleav. Go to melon.com. It's spelled MELIN.com. MELIN.com. Put it to the test yourself. It's the world's most durable hat, and I promise we'll read it much, much earlier next week. My hat's not here. Like, I got a notification on my phone that it's going to be here on the 25th, and that's tomorrow.
Yeah, man. So. Look, Desmond, and they make hats in all shapes and sizes because Desmond's got a large melon on him.